Hey everybody on YouTube, this is MHRoss22. Just gonna let you know a quick story about one of the events that's happened to me while being a Christian. Now, some of you might find it a little bit boring, but what the heck, you know, some Christians like to hear some of these stories because they're cool. One of my friends recently just turned 18, thought I'd take him out to a supper, and I did. And I drove him back home, and I was coming down Main Street downtown, and I see this bus start pulling away, and I see this one guy flailing. He's just running. He's going all, giving her all she's got. And this guy looks goofy. This guy's just kind of, he's trying to wave it down and sprinting. He's got a backpack on, I think, and he just looked, he got glasses, long hair, and I felt sorry for the guy, but I kept on driving. And all of a sudden I heard God say, not audibly, but pull over. And I thought, why is it pull over? And he's like, do it. I'm like, duh. So I pulled over. And I stopped, and I was like, looked back. I was like, what should I do? I guess I'll call him. I'll roll down the window and say, hey, and I said again, hey, and I looked over, and he went, and he just kind of came in, walked into the car, and I noticed a cross on his chain. But you know what? That's something that a lot of people have. They just have it just for design. Here where I live, there's not a whole lot of Christians. In fact, there's probably more people that aren't Christians. Christians, I'd say, are the minority. In fact, devout Christians would be probably the minority. And so he walked into the car and got into the car, and we start talking, and I realized that it's easy to talk to this guy. And we're kind of talking like we've known each other for about 3 or 4 years, and it's not hard making conversation. And I'm driving. So finally, I say, I see you got a cross there. Are you religious? He says, yeah, I am. He seemed kind of nervous. He said, he's like, yeah, I'm Christian. And I said, really? That's cool. And he said, why? Are you Christian? I'm like, yes, I am. And he's like, oh, that's crazy. And then he goes on telling me a story, saying that that he was actually praying for a ride home and something that'd get him home quickly. And here I was, just being obedient to God, and just being part of the vessel for God, being His vessel and answering that prayer. I'm not saying I'm God or anything, but I felt so privileged to be a part of answering that prayer, of God's plan of answering that prayer. I thought that was really cool. He told me some more stories about how this one lady on a bus depot was being really angry, but he calmed him down and said, you know what? I think he shared Jesus with her, and because she was having a problem with the church, and she was like, you know what, I feel better about this, and she ends up going back to church. So he shared me all these kind of stories, and I said to myself, this is totally something that God does, that you be obedient, and then, you know, something shows up. And I know a lot of you might find this maybe a coincidence. Oh, Matthew, this is a coincidence. Sure, for those of the non-believers, you know what, you'll think that it's a coincidence. That's okay. Christians who are listening to this probably don't think it's a coincidence. Maybe some of you do. But like I said, those type of chances and that type of voice that I heard from God, I think it's very hard to kind of say that it's not a coincidence. I'd say that's something that God divinely came in. And so something very cool. Also, so he thinks that he might, I got his number, he thinks he might come to my youth group and might come to my church, and hopefully things turn out well for him, because he's in a little bit of a tough spot with his family. But I love the guy, and I thought that was such a cool story, such something that I'd like to share to a lot of people, because you know what, sometimes when you're obedient like that, God just shows up in a little way, but it's like I said, it's so much of a privilege to be a part of answering a prayer that God instructing you to help. So anyways, hope that you're blessed by hearing this with the thought, you know what, that's cool. I like to hear these type of good things that God does. Anyways, God is great. Praise Him. All right, guys, take care.